922G1 felon in possession cases in the last few years. I think it's absolutely essential that ATF stay focused on its mission, and that is to help local police make this country safer by actually taking guns away from dangerous, violent felons. That may be where we end our commonality, but it starts in a good place. And I think ATF, I've worked with ATF for 25 years as a prosecutor, have a great deal of respect for the men and women who work on the streets in our country, making this country safer. If we stayed focused on violent criminals, we could reduce the crime, especially in urban America, where it is so dangerous. And so thank you for that aspect of your job. I want to just ask the director, do you know why the Capitol building is on the hill? It's because we overlook the executive branch. Do you know why Article 1 of the Constitution talks about the legislative functions? It's because our founders thought that the legislative branch was preeminent and was supposed to stop the tyranny of the executive, the reason that our founders fought the revolution, to get away from a king. And do you know why June 15th, 1215 is an important date?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
June 15th, 1215. It's when the Magna Carta was signed.
I was going to guess that, but I didn't want to
no,
get
it's
it
a
wrong.
good guess. And actually it was signed in Windsor, and I'm from Windsor, Colorado, and I don't see any area of Windsor, Colorado where it could have been signed, but it was signed, and it was really the beginning of holding the executive, in this case the monarchy, responsible for its actions. And what I see from ATF too often, and I've already told you, I think it has an important and valuable role, but what I see too often is ATF taking a legislative function and running with it. And that's what scares me about ATF and where this administration, and I don't think there's any doubt that this administration is more pro-gun control than the past administration, or that the Democrats are more pro-gun control than Republicans. But when you take a legislative function and you, by rule, go forward and usurp our authority. Now, we aren't going to get it right every time, and we're not going to do things very quickly. Our founders set this whole system up so that we wouldn't do things very quickly, that we would do things in a measured way. But the fact that when we pass a law, we have a consensus in this country, and when you pass a rule, you don't. And that's the difference. And if we don't get the American people on board with where we want to go in terms of violence in this country, we suffer. And I'll give you two examples that concern me. One is the suppressor, the ability to make sure that individuals can purchase suppressors and use the same e-filing system that has been set up has been slow-walked by your agency, not you, but slow-walked by your agency for more than a decade now. And it's the bureaucrats in your agency that have a concern about suppressors. I can tell you story after story of constituents who have a son or daughter who has a hearing disability, and those suppressors are so valuable to those kids to be able to enjoy shooting sports. Over and over, I hear about the value of suppressors and how just frustrating it is that the same old paperwork has to be filled out, and the time is wasted in getting a suppressor. And then, of course, the pistol brace rules that your agency has enacted concern me. And I'm going to give you the remainder of my time to respond to that. But I think that you have to acknowledge that the legislative branch has a function and the executive branch, in fact, I guess I'm not going to give you much time. Montesquieu, I'll give you time to respond.
We are in agreement about the roles of those two branches. The legislature, Congress writes the laws, and we have to act within the language of the laws that Congress writes. There's, of course, a third branch that is responsible when cases are brought about saying whether we got it right or whether we did something that we weren't supposed to do, and what the laws of Congress is, what they mean. And that's, of course, the judiciary.
I thank the director for his response, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
The first case on the stabilizing brace that has been
Mr. Chairman, I yield
back. Is a court that has said that we acted within the statute in enacting that rule.
Yeah, Sixth Circuit just said the opposite about the bump stock yesterday. So I think the court cases are mixed. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Cohen, Mr. Cohen from Tennessee. Excuse me.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Massey and I have had discussions in the past about good guys with guns, good people with guns, but good guys is what they kind of say. And he says good guys with guns often are there and they protect people. Ms. Jackson Lee asked you about a bunch of stabilizers that were used in mass shootings. So there's